from the BB&T Center in Sunrise. It's the final home game of the 2012-2013 season. As we take a look at Marcel Goc, one of the few veterans that's been able to stay on the ice for the majority of the season. What a leader he's become. The 40 games, 8 goals, 10 assists for 18 total points. Speaking of young players, there's Drew Shore. Surprising some people, he came up from the AHL earlier this year and he's played in 41 games now, making an impact on the ice game in and game out for the Panthers. And for the Toronto Maple Leafs, one of their best players in Phil Kessel. 17 goals already this season. He's gone over 34 times in his career. And hello, everybody. I am Rob Brender. Welcome inside the BB&T Center for, again, the final home game of the season for the Panthers, taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Well, it's a bittersweet finale, of course. The Panthers didn't play their best hockey this year, but there's still a lot to play for, especially for the young guys who've been given this opportunity to play late in the season because of all the injuries that the Panthers have suffered throughout the campaign. An incredible amount of injuries, limiting all of the veteran players who were supposed to be out there leading these young guys. As you take a look this season, in just 46 games, of course, we're in the strike-shortened season, 319 games already missed. That's the most in the NHL, man games missed. Last season, 318, which was 20th in the NHL, so they stayed relatively healthy. 8 different Panthers making their NHL debuts this year, and one of them, of course, is one of the best players that they've had on the ice all season, in Jonathan Huberdeau, a candidate for a Calder Trophy.
I mean, you try to get some points every game, and sometimes it doesn't work, and for sure I had a little slump in the season, but I guess it happened as a hockey player, and I think it's a hard league to be a good player every game. But I mean, like I said, it's been harder the second half, but I'm trying to holding up, and I think it helping my team. I didn't have any really any goals. I mean, it came so fast. I mean, I was playing junior and a lockout in, and it came here. So I mean, I was like, I'm just gonna work hard every game and help the team to do good. And I think so. I was trying to do from the beginning, and for sure didn't go that well. But like I said, we had a lot of injury and stuff. But that was that was our season. I think we're gonna get better for sure.
You look at the way that Jonathan Huberdeau has made his money this year. 14 goals at second best on the club, 14 assists, 5th best amongst all NHL rookies. Of course, he leads rookies in the goal scoring category, and 28 points, tied for first, as I mentioned, a candidate for the Calder Trophy, which is essentially given to the best rookie in the NHL each and every season. Well, I mentioned veterans, and there's certainly been a lack of veterans on the ice for the majority of the season because of those aforementioned injuries. One of the guys who's been out there, however, has been Tomas Fleischmann. He led the team in points a season ago, went over 60. He's already scored more than 20 goals 3 times in his career. And this season, he's leading the team in goal scoring. He's led the team in assists each of the last 2 seasons, has a tremendous influence on the young players, including Jonathan Huberdeau, who you saw just a few moments ago. And Tomas had a chance to catch up with our very own Frank Fort down at ice level. Guys?
Thanks, Allison. Thomas, Panthers probably played their best game of the month against the Rangers the other night. What are some of the things you guys would like to do well that you did the other night?
Well, I think we were doing pretty good stuff in our defense zone, and I think if we do it again tonight, we can have an opportunity to go forward, and that's what we are looking for.
A lot of young guys in the lineup, and they were out there the other night protecting the lead.
Thanks so very much, guys. Certainly a great season for Tomas Fleischmann. Well, in order to score goals, sometimes you have to do a little bit of dirty work, and that's what Tomas Kopecky does. Not afraid to get in front of the net, screen those goaltenders. There's an art to it. He's going to tell us exactly what that art is coming up right after the break. Panthers Live is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Well, we're about to get going here at the BB&T Center, Toronto, and the Florida Panthers' final home game of the season for the Panthers. Tonight's countdown to party time brought to you by Party City. As you can see, 28 minutes and 25 seconds and counting until hockey action. I mentioned Tomas Kopecky before we went to break. in his second full season now with the Florida Panthers, a tremendous goal scorer, two-time Stanley Cup champion. He won it with the Detroit Red Wings, not playing at all in the postseason that year, and then came back 2 years later, winning it with the Chicago Blackhawks. And he has had a tremendous influence scoring goals for this team, and he can do it in a multitude of ways, whether he's setting up in front of the net, and that's something we talked to him about before tonight's game. Setting up in front of the net, getting those dirty goals.
I got in front. He does have the front of the net. Thomas Kopecky is the Panther most willing to park himself in front of the opponent's cage, looking for screens and tip-ins.
It's kind of hard to watch your feet, just you have to be out of the crease and just to see, checking your shoulders which way the goalie is looking, and on the other hand, you still have to keep the eye on the puck and where the puck is, and you're in his lane that he can see, and sometimes try to get the stick on the puck as well. So it's not only about the screen, but try to get those tips in too.
That's Tomas Kopecky, outstanding goal scorer, tremendous influence on the ice for this team, and he's really been a godsend for this club because going forward, they need guys that can put the puck in the net, and Kopecky can certainly do that. Well, the Toronto Maple Leafs, an outstanding hockey club. They're heading to the playoffs for the first time in a while. We'll talk about them when we come back on Panthers Live. Welcome back to Panthers Live. You see James Reimer, the goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs, getting ready on the left. Jacob Markstrom on the right. Reimer in his third season with the Leafs. Back-to-back years of solid play coming in. 14 wins a season ago. Jacob Markstrom in his first full year trying to improve as the season winds down and have a spot for next year. As we welcome you back live inside the BB&T Center. Rob Brender now joined by our very own Frank Ford. We're talking a little bit about Markstrom. Certainly had an up and down season to say the least, but he's playing some great hockey as the season winds down.
Well, Rob, nobody really expected him to be here full-time this season, but with the injury to Jose Theodore, Markstrom's getting an extended audition. As we go to our Doctors Hospital scratches, first of all, and Jose Theodore, one of the names on that list, which is why Markstrom is getting the opportunity. Of course, Kulikov and Goodbranson out right now on the blue line. Chris Versteeg out for the season along with Stephen Weiss and Ed Jovanovski. Now, as far as Markstrom is concerned, started the year, of course, with the AHL affiliate in San Antonio, but he's played really well lately, coming off a 3-2 win against the Rangers where he stopped 38 of 40 shots. 2 games against the Rangers this year, in fact. He's really kind of stolen both of them, stopped 83 of 86 shots. That's a .965 save percentage. He's got all the tools. He just needs, Rob, refinement and experience. Consistency is the biggest issue right now. You saw he got off to a little bit of a slow start, the numbers on the right, but the last 2 games, outstanding with the 201 goals against, the .947 save percentage. So he's got the ability. Again, he needs the experience. The mental side of the game really is a challenge for him right now as a rookie in the National Hockey League, but he's got everything he needs in terms of skills to succeed as a #1 goaltender in this league.
And one of the players he's going to have to worry about the most tonight is going to be Toronto's Phil Kessel, a tremendous goal scorer, a guy that's put up more than 30 goals 4 times in his career after he came over in a trade from the Boston Bruins. Really a tremendous all-around player and a guy that can do it in a variety of ways.
Yeah, a mainstay on the U.S. national hockey team and in the Olympics. He's a guy, as you mentioned, has 4 straight years of 30-plus goals. Of course, with the lockout this year, he's not going to reach that 30 plateau, but he's on pace, a point a game per pace right now. So he's a very productive player. He's dangerous on the power play. The Panthers are going to have to stay out of the box tonight against a guy like Phil Kessel. Now, in his 4th year with Toronto, Rob, he signed a 5-year contract when he came over for $27 million. When you break it down, that is an absolute bargain for a guy who scores 30 goals a year. It'd be interesting to see when that contract is up, what kind of number the Maple Leafs, and still really in his mid-20s. So he's a young star and really the kind of guy that Toronto is building around.
Still surprising to you that they were able to acquire him real quickly in a trade with Boston a few years ago?
Well, I think Boston was running into some cap issues, and they had a high draft pick. They knew they were going to have to pay one of those young guys. It turned out to be Tyler Seguin. So they knew they had to move Kessel. They got some good pieces in return. So it's a trade, I think, that's worked out for both teams. And especially for Toronto, as you look at the playoff drought that they've had, the last time they made the playoffs was 2003, 2004. That was before the last lockout. That's how long it's been since the Leafs are in the playoffs, but they're going to be back in this year. Their last Stanley Cup was actually 1967. That's the longest Stanley Cup drought in the NHL. And the last time they were in the playoffs, well, Panther fans remember Ed Belfour from his one season here. He was the last Leaf playoff goalie, and their last playoff goal scored by one of their all-time greats, Matt Sundin.
It will be a very good test tonight for the Florida Panthers against a hockey club that already knows they're going to the playoffs. They've established that to this point. And really, for these Florida Panthers, they need to find out what they have going forward.
Yeah, it's their last home game. They want to leave the fans, hopefully, with a good taste in their mouth, looking forward to next year because, right now they're obviously not going to the playoffs, but they're going to have a high draft pick come June in the draft. They've seen some young players come to the forefront this year. Jonathan Huberdeau, Bukestad's gotten some great experience. Quentin Howden, Drew Shore, you mentioned earlier in the show. And Markstrom, of course. All these young guys are getting their first real taste of the NHL, and hopefully it's a building block toward next year and beyond.
I know the fans are certainly excited about what they're going to see tonight. Of course, a lot of fans are here from Canada, made their way south. There's some Panther fans, the young ones up against the glass. They're happy about the fact that their Panthers are on the ice tonight. Certainly not so excited about the fact that the season is coming to an end. A little bit bittersweet, as we mentioned from the beginning, but it's a big game tonight for the Panthers getting ready to go into next year. Panthers and the Maple Leafs coming up next on Fox Sports Florida.